Today I am trying out 3 easy crescent roll appetizer ideas from Pillsbury's Crescent collection. This book was originally published in 1987. I'll definitely talk more about it a little bit later. It is time that we get cozy with friends and family. This is the time of year that it happens the most, I think. And those gatherings sometimes happen spur of the moment. It's not always something that you plan ahead. I think any gathering is a little bit better when you have something to nibble on, and that's where these recipes come in. If you have crescent rolls in your refrigerator, they make for a really good start to a lot of different nibbles, munchy bits, appetizer snacks, that kind of thing. So if you need something quick and easy at the last minute, I think these recipes are a pretty good option. I love a spinach pie, so I thought I would try these easy crescent spinach pies. So I'm gonna begin by making my filling. In medium skillet, cook onion and oil until tender. That means I need to heat up some oil. And to my olive oil, I have 1/4 cup of chopped onion. And I'm gonna cook this until the onion is tender. My onion is all cooked, and to that I'm adding 5 ounces of frozen spinach that I have thawed and drained very thoroughly. I pressed this through a sieve just to get the moisture away, like press very firmly. I used my very clean hands to do it, just to squeeze out as much of the moisture as I possibly could. The heat is actually no longer on with this. I'm gonna mix my spinach and onion, get that all combined first before I add my other ingredients. I'm actually gonna remove this and let it cool because my next ingredients, they have the potential to either melt or cook. I gave my spinach mixture just a couple of minutes to cool down. I'm gonna just put it back in my little bowl here. To that, I'm gonna be adding some crumbled feta. You can also use ricotta, but I had some feta on hand. And when I've eaten spinach pie, I think usually it is feta. So do whichever one that you like or whichever one that you have. And I have just a pinch of garlic powder and a pinch of pepper. Mixing those in. It smells really good, mostly because when you saute onion in olive oil, it smells good. Like if you want people to think you can cook, do that. And they'll be like, wow, what are you making? I have a beaten egg here. I'm gonna add half of this egg because I am cutting the recipe in half. The recipe actually requires a second beaten egg to brush the tops of the pies. So I'm gonna use half in the filling and then I'll use the other half to brush the pies before I bake them. Mix that in, leave that off. I'm gonna set my tray aside. So this is my filling, all done. So now I need to grab a tube of crescent roll dough. Because I am cutting this recipe in half, I only need 1 tube of 8 crescent rolls. If you're gonna make the full recipe, you will need 2 of these. Interestingly enough, it says air fryer ready on the packaging. I didn't know you could make these in the air fryer. Interesting. Oh, that would probably be good. The dish where you wrap the crescent dough around the hot dog with some cheese, that I think would be a great air fryer thing. So you already know possibly that I am refrigerated dough scaredy cat. Sometimes, if it gets too warm, it pops like very violently. I put this in the fridge until the very last second. Press spoon at seam until can pops open. I'm just gonna give it a thwack on the counter. And there you are, not scary at all. Let's take this out. I have noticed in some older recipes that use crescent roll dough, like some of the 70s recipes that I've done, you have to pay a little bit of attention to the baking temperature because it has changed over the years. But this recipe, this is from 1987, it says to preheat your oven to 375, and I just checked the packaging, and 375 degrees is the temperature at which you would bake just regular crescent rolls. So I think we're in good shape there. Now I need to form these a certain way. Separate dough into 8 rectangles, 4 rectangles. Firmly press perforations to seal. Press or roll each rectangle into an 8x4 inch okay, we're 8x4. 8 inches by 4 inches. Cut each half. Okay, there we are. To form 8 squares in this case. 4 rectangles. We got them. Almost. Take these perforations and just kind of pinch them and press them until they seal. We don't want triangles. You're gonna end up with squares actually. It starts with rectangles, then it goes into squares. Okay, I need to get a ruler. So what size do they end up as when I just pinch them? They are 6 by almost 4. So really I just have to go like more this way. I don't want to knock this bowl over. This could get crazy. It did need to come out a little like on the sides. It was almost 4 inches, but not quite. Let's measure again. Oh yeah, we're just over 4. And we're about 7.5. So I need to go longer. The shapes, they are not going to be perfect, are they? But I think they're gonna taste pretty good. Just kind of keep an eye on those perforations as you go. All right, we're at 8. We're at 8. It's a little bit of a wonky 8, but we got there. Cut each rectangle in half crosswise. So we're going to squares. We're going to squares. I'm even gonna measure it because I have my ruler here. Why not? I love these flexible gridded rulers. I keep one in the kitchen and I keep one next to my sewing machine. You know, they're really good for marking patterns and things too. I'll link one if you are interested. I'm gonna mark that at 4 and I'm gonna cut it like that. So then we have 2 wonky squares. Bring this up so you can see it just a little bit better. Wonky squares. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill these 2 squares and then, you know, off camera, I'll move on to preparing the rest of these. Place about a tablespoon of spinach mixture on the center of each square. I did get my cookie scoop. I might not need it. I thought, let's try it. Yeah, it might not be necessary. Maybe I think it would be easier to get a tablespoon. Yeah, okay, because I don't want to put too much and then not have enough filling at the end. Oh, yeah. Full dough over filling, forming a triangle. So we're forming a triangle. Again, these shapes ended up a little wonky, but it's okay. It's the holidays. Press edges with fork to seal. So I have a fork, I'm gonna go ahead and fold this other one. Press the edges. It's funny because in the photo, it really does not look like the edges are pressed at all. In fact, some of the filling is like spilling out the sides. Interesting. So I guess aesthetically, it's kind of like whichever look you're going for. Brush with beaten egg and sprinkle with sesame seeds if desired. I just have a little pastry brush here. I'm noticing that my perforations, yeah, keep an eye on those perforations. I'm gonna brush these with just a little bit of the beaten egg I had earlier, the half of a beaten egg, I guess. And I do have sesame seeds here. I thought they looked kind of nice in the photo, so I am gonna add those. But it is optional. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. And that's what they look like with the sesame seeds. So then I have to place these on an ungreased baking sheet. So I just have like my regular aluminum baking sheet here. I just wanted to do a couple on camera, but I won't make you watch me do all of them. I will finish prepping these and then it's time to bake them. And it says to bake them for 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll see how they turn out. Before they go into the oven, I wanted to show you what the full tray looks like. So now I'm gonna bake these at 375. I'm gonna start with 10 minutes and see how far they get. We may go up to the full 15. I'd like to thank Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. They offer more than 2,000 classes in over 20 different categories, including sewing, knitting, cooking, painting, cake decorating, and so many more. I've been following a beginner's cake decorating class in order to level up my holiday cookie frosting and decorating game. Crafty's classes are broken down into easy to follow lessons and fit a range of skill levels from beginner to pro. They're taught by talented experts who walk you through each technique with easy to follow step-by-step demonstrations. I love this method of learning because if I don't understand a step, I can go back to the video and replay it right away as many times as I need to. Craftsy is made for curious people who never want to stop learning. Their community welcomes anyone seeking creative inspiration and looking to learn new skills. If you're ready to check out Craftsy, you can join via the link in my description down below. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Thanks again to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. I am actually so pleased with how lovely and browned these got. They smell really good and I can't wait to try them. I did let them cool for maybe like 10, 12 minutes. I had to take a thumbnail, all that stuff. I'm gonna give them a try. They're good. They're good. Let me get a little bit of a bigger bite of the filling. Pretty tasty. There's a couple things I would probably add to this. I think it needs a little citrus, maybe a little lemon juice. I think it could use more garlic, for sure. Don't be afraid of the garlic. Just had that pinch of garlic powder in it. I'd go like cook some actual garlic in there. But overall, I think they are tasty and this is a really good jumping off point for other types of appetizers. You could do a spinach filling, but you could come up with other types of fillings for this too, like a meat and vegetable filling, or even, I think it could be interesting to make some sort of like sloppy joe filling and put them in here. I think these taste pretty dang good. Could use a little boost in some of the seasonings, but it does give me a little bit of inspiration for some other things that I could try. So this next recipe I'm trying is called Easy Italian Pinwheels, and that's what they are right up here. And this one does indeed look really easy. I mostly have all of this stuff all the time: the cheese, the pepperoni, an egg, some oregano. I don't always have crescent rolls on hand, but around the holidays I do try to keep a few packages in my refrigerator just because they're so handy to have around and make things from. I love pizza. I'm a big pizza fan, so I think I'm gonna like these. Heat oven to 375. My oven is preheated. So I have placed half a cup of shredded mozzarella in a bowl. Normally I do shred my own cheese, but in this case, I had some shredded, like a bag of shredded cheese in my refrigerator, and I'm like, this would be the occasion to use it. Pre-shredded cheese is okay. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I know it doesn't melt the same way. Like, I'm aware of all of the advantages of shredding your own, but you know what? Sometimes you just need a little convenience. Combined with pepperoni. So I have half a cup of pepperoni that is falling into the bowl. I've already diced it up. It just says to roughly chop it. And just use whatever you have, whatever is your favorite. Oregano. We have a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano and an egg yolk. So this recipe actually takes an egg yolk and an egg white. The egg yolk goes in the filling and you brush the outside of the crescent rolls with the egg white. So it's kind of nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna break that yolk and combine this. And that yolk is just gonna kind of keep everything together. Okay, that's all combined. I'm just gonna set this aside. I have just a regular sheet pan here, and I'm gonna get my crescent rolls out of the refrigerator. And I pretty much always keep any refrigerated dough in the fridge until the very last minute when I need it, because I feel like whenever it warms up, it gets a little more volatile and explosive. Not bad, not bad. Separate dough into 4 rectangles. So another instance, whoops, where we're like separating it and sort of like healing the perforations a little bit, pinching them. I'll get a cutting board. Eventually we're gonna have to cut these up. Let's start unrolling here. So I like to pinch on both sides to make sure everything is very secure. You don't want stuff leaking out of your dough. I'm like reading ahead a little bit in the recipe. It says each of the rectangles is to be cut into 6 slices. I think that's generous. We'll see. We'll see how many slices I can get out of each rectangle. That didn't take long at all. I'm gonna get a cutting board and let's just shift. Let's just shift around so you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here. Spread each rectangle with about 3 tablespoons of the filling. So we're bringing the filling back. All right, let's start with this rectangle because it was the closest to me. Grabbed a little spatula just to help me with this part. Pretty decent coverage there. Starting at the shortest side, roll up each rectangle and pinch edges to seal. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's like I'm making little cinnamon buns. We're gonna try our best to get the amount the amount of pinwheels out of this that they're requesting, but I'm not making promises because that's a little guy, right? That's just a little guy. And it says to cut it into 6 pieces. We'll try. And I'm using like a very thin, sharp knife for this. I think you have to act pretty quickly too because the dough starts to soften. Okay, I'm kind of doing it. Okay, they're little, they're just wee tiny things, but we did it, right? But you want things to be bite-sized, I guess, when you're having just little apps and snacks and things. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest of these and then I'll be right back. I ended up putting some of these on another sheet pan just because I wanted to make sure they had plenty of room. They are gonna expand. I didn't want them all to stick together. So the last thing I have to do before baking these is brush them with just a little bit of beaten egg white so they get deliciously beautiful toasty brown. Is this necessary? I mean, I think they look amazing when you do this. So now, what's the bake time? It says 12 to 15 minutes at 375. So I am gonna start with 12 minutes and I'll let you know how long it actually takes them to bake. Will you look at these? They are so bite-sized and cute. And I chose to put a little bit of pizza sauce on here. I thought it would be something to complement them. I'm really excited to give them a try. They do smell very good. They smelled super good baking. There's the bottom, the top. I baked these for the full 15 minutes plus maybe like a minute or two. I wanted them to get a little bit more brown than they were. I'm super excited, yes. I mean, what's not to like here? It's pizza stuff. Very good. I think I would prefer them to be served with a sauce. I'll try another one. You know, I'll take one for the team and try another one just dry. Honestly, they're pretty good just by themselves too, but I do love having a little bit of a sauce on this side. So I think either way, these are a winner. Super easy and super fast to make. So I'm actually going to try the cover recipe, cherry crescent cheesecake cups. But I'm gonna change them up. I have ideas. I have some ideas, and before you say, that's not an appetizer, that's a dessert, I don't need your negativity here. I don't know if there's a time when I am ever not craving cheesecake, and I think you should eat dessert first sometime. Also, you know, this has gotten my wheels turning a little bit. I'm gonna make them as a sweet cheesecake, but I think there's potential here for more of a savory cheesecake filling in these crescent roll cups. I have made the little mini cheesecakes that you make with a vanilla wafer as the crust. You make them in like cupcake wrappers. Those are really, really good. I've never tried it with crescent rolls. Also, instead of, I'm not doing cherry. I know cherry is festive. I know it's red, it's Christmas. However, I have some of this lemon butter filling left over from my lemon snowdrop cookies from my cookie book video. I don't want to waste it. So I'm gonna make a lemon themed little cheesecake cup, and I'm gonna use this to go on the top of it instead of the cherry filling. So the original recipe is more of like a cherry almond kind of situation. This is gonna be a lemon cheesecake. So I'm gonna start by making my filling. That means I'm bringing in the old hand mixer, because we wanna get this nice and smooth, right? I've already prepared my muffin tin. This is gonna make 8 servings, so I had to grease 8 of the muffin cups. In a medium bowl, combine cream cheese and egg until smooth. I didn't get a spatula. What is wrong with me? For the filling, I need 8 ounces of very soft cream cheese in the bowl. Oh, it is soft. Wow. And I have 1 egg here as well. And I'm gonna mix this until it is well combined. That is all nice and smooth. Having very soft cream cheese helps get rid of those lumps. So next I have to add my powdered sugar and my flavoring. And originally it was gonna be almond flavoring, but because I'm doing a lemon style cheesecake, I'm gonna go with lemon extract. And it says that you can use 1/2 of a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna go 1/2 a teaspoon, only because I have this very lemony, like lemon butter filling that I want to put on top, so I don't want to go too overboard here. I'm going to add the powdered sugar kind of gradually, because I don't want to put it all in there and start mixing and then have it just like whoosh back up into my face. That is very smooth and delicious looking. I'm going to set it aside because now we have to work on the actual crescent part. We're going to make little squares. There we go. Let's get our little rectangles going first. It's gonna be 4 by 8 that they're looking for, I believe. Let me just check. 8 by 4, 4 by 8, whatever. Pinch, pinch, pinch. Gotta pinch those perforations closed. I find that width-wise, it doesn't need a whole lot of rolling. It's really the length mostly. It needs to be like longer than it is when it comes out of the tube. Let's see where we're at. Oh, wow. I did pretty good. I guess I got used to making those spinach pies. Actually, let me measure the width. Oh, wow, that's just about right, isn't it? Again, we're making these 4-inch squares. Let me bring this over. Press each square to bottom of a prepared muffin cup, leaving corners of each square extended over the sides of the cup. Can do. Let's just kind of let them fall in there. So these are gonna end up being like little packages, kind of. They look very cute. The crescent dough actually goes all the way up the sides. I'm kind of like letting them fall in there a little bit before I pull the corners back out. Perforations being a little stubborn on this one. I know they make those sheets of crescent roll dough too, so if that's easier for you to measure out, go that direction. This is what I could find. This is what I got. So I've got my squares all ready to go here in the muffin cups. Place about 1/4 cup of cream cheese mixture in the center of each square. So I have a scoop, I think it's a 2-ounce scoop, I can't remember, but we're gonna try it just to help me a little bit. Oh, the filling is lovely. It's real nice. It's very fluffy and soft. Fill all of them first, and if there's some left, we'll go back through. Ooh, I can smell the lemon extract. I feel like this could also, like this preparation has a lot of potential outside of the cheesecake realm as well. I'm thinking like little brunch cups. I'm sure that exists somewhere where you make like almost like little quiches, you know? We'll go back, like the first one could use a little more. Who else? Who else is looking a little bare? These are very generously filled, if you ask me. Got them all filled, right? Bring 4 corners of each square together in the center of the cup. Firmly press the points together to seal. Like that, we're making little cheesecake presents, kind of. So if you go by what it looks like on the cover, that's, you know, you can kind of see there's like a little peeking out here. So it's a little cute bundle, isn't it? I feel like if you have a roll of crescent rolls, you've got some good appetizer ideas. And I'll include the full recipe for this down in the description. I will write the recipe as written in the book, but I will also include like a little note with my variations that I did. Just because I already had that filling on hand, like what I'm doing is kind of easier. They kind of look like apple dumplings. Look at these little tiny dumplings. How cute. So do I need to brush these with anything? No. Okay, so it just says to bake at 350 degrees for 18 to 23 minutes, starting with 18 minutes and we'll see. All right, that is what they are looking like straight out of the oven, right at 18 minutes. I think I'm happy with that. They're super hot. They're super hot. I do want to let them cool before I put my lemon butter filling on top because I don't want it to melt. So I'm going to get these out of the muffin tin and onto a plate where I'm just going to let them cool for maybe like 15, 20 minutes. As far as how these look, I am very happy with them. I did let them cool before I put the lemon butter filling on top. I didn't want it to completely melt away, so you can see I just kind of like put a dollop on each one and then I let it run down the sides. Happy with how they look. Don't know how they taste. I know the lemon butter filling is very good, so I think it's gonna be a good combination with these. I'm gonna attempt to pick one of these up. I'm going for it. It doesn't say if this is a knife and fork dessert or what, but I'm just, you know, we're gonna make it finger food, maybe, we'll see. They did come out of the pan so nicely, like perfectly well. I almost wanna peel this a little bit like an orange. Those are really good. A little bit like a cheese Danish, kind of like a lemony cheese Danish. Wow. This is definitely gonna be happening again with different variations of like toppings and fillings. I think that this is another one that provides a lot of good inspiration and a good jumping off point. The Pillsbury Crescent collection was published in 1987. I'm not sure if you can see that, but right there, yeah. It was free. It was free with the purchase of 2 8-roll or 3 4-roll cans of Pillsbury Crescent rolls. And I love it. I love that because that's like a very themed cookbook, isn't it? Product cookbooks in general are usually themed in that way, but this one especially so because you actually had to buy the product that they're featuring in this booklet to get this booklet. And at the bottom it says, easy to make recipes for family, fun, or formal. A whole array, just an entire range of things that you can be making. This time of year, I think we're entertaining a lot more. We're having people over, we're going to people's houses. It's very much a time that's about gathering and community and seeing the people you love. Those activities are just a little bit better with a snack, right? So I wanted to make a video that focused on crescent roll dough because I feel like it's kind of a really good hack, if you want to call it that. I don't really like that word. It's a good ingredient to keep on hand, especially during this time of year, because there's a lot that you can do with it as evidenced by this book. I went through several of my little Pillsbury booklets to see what I could come up with as far as what you can make with crescent rolls for a party, you know, for an appetizer. I want to show you this first inside page because you have some packaging, and you know how I love looking at packaging from the past. So this is what crescent roll packaging looked like in 1987. But we also have the man himself, the Pillsbury Doughboy, the mascot. I actually really like how the crescent rolls used to be packaged in that white and sort of sky blue. They're more of like a blue, true blue now. We've got a table of contents, you know, appetizers and snacks, main dishes even, desserts, sweet rolls, and coffee cakes. This is gonna be all photographs all the time. You know, I think it's very common for this era of cookbooks, but there we have a 2-page spread and we're featuring kind of like a vegetable pizza. I love a vegetable pizza. You know the one, the crescent roll layer, the cream cheese with like whatever seasonings layer. We like to do, like when I was a kid and still, we like to do cream cheese mixed with Hidden Valley Ranch seasoning, but you can do other things too. And then whatever vegetables you want on top. That is a staple. That is a party staple. It is a baby shower, bridal shower staple. You see it a lot. I'm always happy to see it at whatever occasion I'm going to. Also, these glasses, I love them with the rainbow stripes. Actually, I'll show you really quick on the back. There's a mug that has these like rainbow triangles, and like how 80s can you get, right? That is my childhood right there. So the formal name for the vegetable squares I just showed you, garden harvest squares, according to this book, for that particular recipe anyway. There's quite a lot in here and quite a few things that like maybe I wouldn't normally think of to make with crescent rolls. I almost made these bacon and cheese crescent wontons. A wonton to me, like if you're doing something with wonton wrappers, it's going to be more, I mean, it depends on how you cook it. It's either deep fried to be crunchy, or, you know, if you're making like a wonton soup, it's more soft and noodle-like. Kind of, it's like, I get what you mean. Like, I get the shape that they're trying to go for, but, you know, that doesn't mean that it's a bad recipe. I think I would still like to try this. Kind of reminds me, I made those like crescent roll-ups with cream cheese and bacon. It looks a little bit like that. That video is from a very long time ago, but I will link it in the description down below if you're interested. Denver Crescent snacks right here. I have made a few recipes on this channel that were Denver something. Denver sandwich, you know, Denver scramble, onions and peppers, and ham, I think, or bacon, ham in this case. There's my easy crescent spinach pies, which we'll talk about in a minute here. And then we get into some main dishes. Ooh, this looks good. A crescent mushroom brunch pizza. Brunch pizza just sounds amazing. There's actually a local pizza shop in my area called Ohio Pie. I mean, if you're close by, you should definitely check them out. There's a location in Brunswick and there's a location in Rocky River, but they do brunch pies on the weekends. That's kind of what this made me think of. Their brunch pies are a little bit fancier. They have everything but the bagel seasoning like underneath the crust. Their other menu items are also very good. Just a little shout out to a local business that I love. There's crescent burritos. Again, I don't know that this is very burrito-like, but it sounds good. Like, I don't know, you could call it like a taco crescent wrap maybe, because you use like taco seasoned meat with some beans and vegetables, cheese. It does actually sound very, very good. I mean, the name is maybe just not exactly reflective of what it is. Oh, there's the crescent taco pie. That looks very good. These are some pretty neat dinner ideas, I think. Vegetable egg wrap-ups. Ooh, crunchy crescent hamwiches. Those look super good too. My gosh. They have finely crushed corn or potato chips in them. What? I think that goes on top. That sounds amazing. Ooh, dessert. Dessert time. Oh my gosh. These walnut tarts look really good too. Make some of these Greek walnut tarts along with the spinach pies. Like, then you're in business. There's just a lot of really good ideas in this book. It's a small little slim booklet, but if you're looking for some ideas on what to do with crescent rolls, like, this is a good one to have. So let's talk about the recipes I made today. These were all so good, okay? All of them were so good. I think it's just nostalgia for me, but like, I always think crescent rolls are special. Like, they make something special to me. It was like, crescent rolls were not something that we like always had when I was a kid, but I saw the Pillsbury commercials, you know, and they always just look like the height of sophistication to me. I'm sure there are things that you thought of as a kid that you thought was just like the fanciest of the fancy, that like you look back on it and you're like, no, that's not really that fancy at all, but it was special, right? It was special. Viennetta comes to mind, if you know what that is. That was like, whoa, like wealthy people eat Viennetta. If I can find a photo of Viennetta, I will put it here, but believe me, those commercials made it look like the best thing of your life. But anyway, so crescent rolls. Let's talk about the recipes. So the first recipe I made was easy crescent spinach pies. And I love spinach pie. I was gonna say these are maybe my favorite, but honestly, like, thinking through, like, I loved all three of the recipes, so I can't say that I exactly am a favorite, but these were super, super good. I would like to punch up the filling just a little bit. It was a good start, but I think it needs to be seasoned just a little bit more. So what I would do, I mean, I'd definitely add more feta. I think it needed a little bit more cheese. I'd add some lemon juice. It needed like a little bit of a citrus punch, probably some garlic. What was given in the recipe, the ingredients listed, you just need to season it up a little bit more to your tastes. One thing I did not touch on throughout these recipes, there's like a little tip at the end, and they give reheating instructions for all of these because they're meant to be eaten warm. I just reheated them in the microwave. It was fine. It was fine. I actually had a couple for breakfast the day after I first made these. It was so good. If you want to reheat a whole bunch of them in like a more formal way, or like maybe reheat to serve to people, it does give instructions to do that. It says to reheat, wrap loosely in foil, heat at 350 degrees for 12 to 16 minutes. These were they were better than I thought they would be. I think that crucial step of like brushing the tops with a little bit of beaten egg, that's what gave it the beautiful color, gave it a nice texture. They just looked like really inviting, I think. I don't know that you would get that same effect if you didn't add the beaten egg. So you know, you might want to skip it. I would say definitely do it. It's worth it. It makes it very visually appealing. The second recipe I made was easy Italian pinwheels. Another winner, honestly, another winner. Very easy as well. I followed the recipe. I used cheese and pepperoni. I think you could kind of like step outside of that with your pizza toppings. However, you would want to stick with things that didn't have a ton of moisture in them, right? You know, I love mushrooms. I feel like mushrooms, you could probably cook them beforehand and it might be okay, but they do give off a lot of liquid. So that's something to be mindful of. But as is, I thought these were so tasty. And I was a little bit nervous that I wouldn't be able to cut them in like 6 pieces, like the way that the recipe like requested, but it was fine. It was fine. Just use like a really sharp, thin knife. These were super fast as well. I always have most of this stuff on hand except for the crescent rolls. I don't always keep them in my fridge. Cheese, pepperoni, a little bit of seasoning and an egg, and you're done. You're done. And they just came together very, very quickly. They baked very quickly. It doesn't take a long time. And it said that you can actually assemble these up to 2 hours ahead of time. And then when you're ready, you can just bake them as directed. And again, it says to reheat, wrap loosely in foil, heat at 350 for 12 to 14 minutes. So it does give some reheating instructions in here too. And finally, I made cherry crescent cheesecake cups, except mine weren't cherry. Okay. This is the one recipe where I really like strayed from the written instructions or like the written ingredients. I don't do that super often. I mostly try to stick with like what the recipe says, like maybe 90% of the time. But in this case, I had some of that lemon butter filling left over from my cookie video and I wanted to use it up, and I thought this would be a good opportunity. So here's a picture of what they would have hopefully looked like if I had made the recipe straight through, but I made mine lemon. I think lemon is a good flavor to go with cheesecake, personally. This one was really tasty. So the cheesecake filling itself is fluffy. It's not like a cheesecake. I love all kinds of cheesecake, but it's not like a traditional cheesecake, like a New York style, where you get that like more dense kind of cheesy filling. This is fluffy. It's light. And I think the lemon just complements that texture really well too. So instead of almond extract, because the recipe as written makes like a cherry almond kind of cheesecake, I used a little bit of lemon extract. I left out the almonds. There's supposed to be like almonds in the filling. And I used like a lemon butter top, right? You could probably also use like lemon pie filling or something because I just happen to have that lemon butter filling. I'll include the recipe for that in the description down below, even though it doesn't come from this book, just so that you have it, because it is just kind of a generally good thing. And I think it worked. It really worked. I'm going to say you could make these without doing cherry or lemon. I think you could, maybe leave out the almonds, substitute just regular vanilla, and then use whatever like pie filling or fruit, like fruit compote that you have to top these, or just eat them plain. I think they would be really good just without any extra extracts or fruit or anything like that. And I'm also kind of like thinking through maybe a savory cheesecake, because I think that could be super interesting. I'm thinking like fresh chives would be so good, especially in the summer. I think if you had fresh chives to make like a savory cheesecake, yeah, that would be incredible. I can't think of a time when I'm not like, yeah, cheesecake sounds good. They were a little bit more involved than the other recipes because you do have to like whip up a filling and like shape them in a certain way, but it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary. All 3 of these recipes were winners. All of them are really, really delicious and super easy, pretty fast to put together as well. So I hope you liked this video, and I hope it inspired you to make some tasty little bites out of crescent roll dough this holiday season. I'd like to thank Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. If you love cookbooks and recipes from the 1980s, I have an entire playlist, and I'll link it in the description down below. I'd like to say a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to join us over there, I'll leave a link in the description so that you can do that. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.